Think we are live. What is up, everybody in Crypto Campus? I am going to wait a few minutes so that we can gather some people into this live stream. I'm a little exhausted right now, so if I seem like I'm about to pass out, it's because I am. I'm just joking. I'm not about to pass out, but just to forewarn you if I am a little bit monotone. So like I said, I'm going to wait a few minutes so that we can gather some people so we can knock this out. I have some charts for you guys today. I have Litecoin, I have Bitcoin. I don't really have any other charts, but if you have some requests, just let me know in the chat box on YouTube, since I don't think we have any actual requests on the Slack channel. So let me know in the chat box if you have charting requests for me to go over. But the main focus that I want to focus on is really Bitcoin and Litecoin. Those are really the coins that I'm focused on. I still have all of my Vertcoin. I mean, even when I picked up the Vertcoin at recently over 40 cents, obviously like around $5 and whatnot, I still have those Vertcoin. I don't plan on selling them. So those are really just long-term positions. I haven't gotten stopped out on any of those positions. I did decide to swing my Litecoin yesterday, so I got into fiat. And I actually just repicked it back up. So I am back on my positions with Litecoin. Actually, I'll show you guys real quick in a minute once we gather some people. We have 17 people watching live right now. An update on Vertcoin. I'll do an update on Vertcoin. Tyler, you're asking about Digibyte. I'll do an update on Digibyte. That was a little bit of a failed trade. I'm sorry I didn't update you guys on me exiting out of that trade, but I did exit out of that trade. But I'll show you guys. I haven't really looked at Digibyte since I've gotten out of it, since there really was continuous low volume, even though there might be some accumulation going on. But yeah, really I'm really in just a handful of coins right now. I'm mostly heavy on Litecoin and Bitcoin and also Vertcoin. Of course, I have my Decred and cold storage. Decred actually took off today. Let me check my Blockfolio. Decred took off a little bit. It went to like $61 today, but it's dropping back down to like $56. And I think it bottomed out at $50 recently as well. So I still have my Decred. I have a little bit of ARC. I have Ethereum Classic. I'm actually mining Ethereum Classic with a individual mining rig right now. So I'm mining Ethereum Classic, and I do have a little bit of a bag of Ethereum Classic. So I've got ETC, I've got ARC, Decred, Litecoin, Bitcoin, Vertcoin. What else do I've got here? That's basically what I've got right now in my bags. But I'll go over everything. If you have questions, let me know. So I'm gonna pop up the charts now. And I'm gonna show you guys, I'm still bullish. It seems pretty crazy, but people are kind of panicking. They're getting a little unrest because of the futures trading that starts tomorrow, I believe. It's supposed to start today, I thought. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that what we're going to see is just a lot of volatility, just a lot of volatility. For example, I even tweeted about it. Like when we saw Litecoin go up to $200 and it just sold off instantly, that's like the volatility that I think we're going to be seeing consistently. Same thing with Bitcoin. When Bitcoin hit $20,000, we had just a major sell-off. Long wicks and thin candle bodies. So long wicks, short candle bodies. And I think we're going to continuously see that. So, and it's not just when Litecoin hit $200. It was like when it got sold off as of recently. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and pop in my screen. We're going to get started. Let's see. Application window right here. One moment. All right, there we go. Let me know in the chat box if you guys can see my screen. This is a Google Hangouts. I don't really do them that often, but it seems to be easier when I do a Google Hangout. So let me know in the chat box if you guys can see my screen. And then we'll jump into the charts. No 105 for Litecoin. I think that I really don't think we're going to see 105. I mean, that's a major support zone. We could see 105. I do have some fiat that I sold off some Litecoin at around 155, anticipating that we might see a drop, but that would just bring in tune with the volatility that I think we're going to see. So I actually just picked up my bags, like literally before this live stream. I'll show you guys real quick, actually, where I picked up my bags. Totally, like, my bags didn't even get completely picked up. I actually had to market buy my Litecoin as it started to go up. But this candlestick right here on the 15-minute where it ended, you can see it right here. If you look at the L, that's the low of this candle body on the 15-minute. I had my low or my buy order at literally $145.10, $145.10. That was the low on this candle body. And like, I think half or maybe a little more than half of my, not even half, less than half of my, like a fraction of my actual order got bought. But I was actually surprised, like, oh my gosh, my order came in really hot and heavy. And the low was 145.10. So that was a quick scoop, really lucky buy there. But then I had to market buy, causing this candlestick right here. No, I'm just joking. But I had to market buy the rest of it at this level. But I didn't sell off completely when I told you guys in the Slack that I'm in a lot of fiat. I didn't sell off completely, but I was anticipating a further drop than what we saw, which doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So I'm lucky I got in at that 145.10 there, which was just crazy lucky. And then I market bought the rest. But I think we're going to start moving back up here, basically following Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's at 15,600 right now. It actually shot up. Look at that. Long candle wicks. Like I said, we're going to see a lot of candle wicks, like extremely long candle wicks. We'll get to the charts and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. But look, we like shot up to 16.3 really quickly, and then we dropped down again. So same thing with Litecoin. Litecoin shot up quickly, and it dropped down really thin. So I think we're going to continuously see that. Sorry if my voice is shaking. I'm like super cold. I'm super cold right now. Going to a bonfire a little bit later because it's just so cold out. So hopefully I'll get toasty at the bonfire. But let me get to the charts. I'm going to show you guys what I'm looking at. So basically with Litecoin, and I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about with the wicks, the candle bodies. We're seeing a lot of long wicks, especially on the upside here. So we had look at the percentage-based price range. 13% wick. And you've got right here, you've got another really long candle wick, which was like 13%. And then on the downside here, you had a pretty long candle wick, which was a little bit less, which was like almost 7%. So we're seeing a lot of candle wicks, but with Litecoin currently, I think that we're forming a flag right now. It's a pretty obvious flag that we're forming. And where I would be selling off to exit my positions if we had a closing hourly candle, safer to say like a 4-hour candle. If we have a closing 4-hour candle below this red line here, which I'll make a little thicker. So if we close below that, then I think that it would be pretty obvious that we would be either bouncing. Well, I mean, I would say that we could bounce because of what we're seeing as of the volatility that we've seen recently. We could bounce at like 125, which is a good round number. And also we had a little bit of resistance at 125, as you can see off of this closing candle body on the hourly. In the live stream that I did like a few days ago, I actually made it private, and I just made it public again. But I think I'm gonna make it private because it's like a goofy live stream. But the one I did the other day, we went through a lot of content in that public live stream, and I talked about how if we were going to see a sell-off from what we saw at 200, we were going to see a bounce at around 135, which is exactly where we saw that bounce. Didn't actually hit 135, but that's where we bounced, was at 135 based off of the hourly chart. So we bounced off of 135, which I didn't even follow that analysis. Like I didn't even trade that analysis that I gave out to the public or whatever. I didn't trade that at all. I actually sold off at around these numbers, and I didn't get back in, and I just finally got back in. But yeah, so we did actually bounce off of this resistance here at 135. But like I said, if we're going to fall down further, I would be looking for, I mean, an hourly candle body would be pretty sufficient to determine your trades. So if we fish hourly candle body below this trend line here, which forms the flag, we have our resistance and it's kind of narrowing out. If we close below that, then I would probably, go in for a swing. But, like as we've seen, it's like we've seen a lot of volatility and kind of it's been a lot quicker volatility as well. So we could see that sell off down here and then jump right back into this, what would be a pennant forming or a flag forming. So that would be my determined sell off would be if we break out of here to the downside just to protect profits from this initial run up. But if we don't, which I'm actually not thinking that we're going to. I think that we're going to bounce. We're either going to bounce out of here because we have our flag formation. So I'm gonna. Come on. I'm not looking at the chat box right now, so I will check out what you guys are saying in a minute. What is going on here? All right, so my mouse is working, so we've got a new mouse here. So basically, we were bouncing and we went back down a little bit here. Now we could bounce out of this resistance right here, or we could literally go up, bounce off of the bottom one single time, and then we would be breaking out to the upside. So this is a bullish formation right now, and I'm following this precisely. I don't think that there really is no sell-off right now. I think that it's basically the action that we saw previously. There hasn't even been a sell-off from that. I think that people have sold off because of the recent charts, recent analysis. But I think that what we saw here from this sell-off was a little bit of FUD going around about futures trading. But this is Litecoin. This is not Bitcoin, so it shouldn't even affect Litecoin. I think Bitcoin is the main focus right now. But like I said, and I'm also going to go back to the comparative analysis on why I think that we should at least have a finishing candle body, not a wick, but a finishing candle body leading us to $200 resistance right here, which remember like a while back I talked about how my initial forecast was 150 from that live stream that I did off that forecast, and then I changed it. I said, no, I have my solid forecast now that was super concrete from, a long period of time of doing this analysis, and it changed to $200 way before we even had this cup and handle formation. So this was a while back where I came up with this forecast. And I think that given the fact that we have such a long candle wick here, we still haven't gone to the targets. I think that we still need to have a finishing candle body at 200. And then once we do have that finishing candle body at 200, I think that we'll probably see more of a steeper sell-off that would bring us to almost like 100% retracement. But it really depends. We have to watch it closely. I think the next 24 hours are really going to give me some clarity, because I think that there's going to be a lot of volatility, but I think that everyone is anticipating and waiting. What the heck is going to happen, this next 24 hours, this next day? So I'll be glued to the screen the next 24 hours. And I think that Litecoin, like I said, is not going to be as affected as Bitcoin. I think that Bitcoin is the main focus. But this is how I think it's going to pan out. We're going to bounce maybe one more time to the downside off of our support and then break out. Or we could just actually continue to move up and then break out of this resistance that we have here. So those are the two options that I'm looking at. And like I said, if we break below that, then it would be a sell-off for me, looking for a buy at around 105, which is a major support area. Same thing with Bitcoin, not 105, but I'm going to show you guys in a minute. But let me delete this drawing right here. And I'm going to show you guys on the 4-hour, another analysis that I'm looking at. I think that, like I said, I think that we need to watch it closely, because literally anything can happen with the volatility that we've seen in the recent days. So like I said, I'm going to stick with that analysis. I'm not going to change it. It is what it is right now. But I think that a firm support, we have like really firm support at around $100. It's not even just $105. It's really around $100, because we had major resistance when we had that extensive run to $100. and then we have not necessarily resistance, but we had a little bit of consolidation here that formed that cup and handle, and then we just became super exuberant to the upside, really fast, really hard, which could give us that sell-off. But as of right now, I'm still bullish, so I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm also going to move back to, if you see this green line here, this green line, which is basically an analysis that I've made from this previous bounce that we saw off this initial bull cycle with Litecoin before we hit $100. I mean, you guys can see how long this bull cycle lasted. I mean, this was a pretty long cycle here. How long was this? This was like 155 days was this cycle. So I think that we're still in a fresh cycle since we bounced off of this price channel here, off of 3 tests, and we moved aggressively to the upside, which was a while back when I called the bottom at $55. I was even saying in a live stream that, like, I think I did a Litecoin giveaway, but since we did bounce off $55, I was like guaranteed that we were going to see a $100 Litecoin, which we did. Of course, there's, things have changed throughout that time period off of when I called that bounce at 55 for the guarantee of 100. I think at around this point here, I was talking about a sell-off that we could not actually see that $100 Litecoin. No, that was before that. It was like around this period of time, but we had that bounce there. So what I'm looking at with this green trend line, which dates back to the initial phase of this bull cycle, we saw a bounce, a considerable bounce. So we had that whole cycle, bang, 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 and it didn't even include this because of the fact that it just didn't include it because it's off of the 4-hour. If we went to the daily, it wouldn't even actually be a bounce there. But we had that firm bounce leading us into that new cycle that we can actually see over here. So I'm going to show you guys real quick what I'm looking at. So this price channel that you can see is green. I'm going to change the color real quick. I'm going to make it, what should I make it? I'm going to make it light blue or turquoise, whatever you'd call that. And then, so if you look at this price channel, remember when we bounced, or I don't know if people were trading at this time, but we bounced off of this channel here, which I remember telling you guys that this would be a comparative analysis to where we're at right now, where we had that bounce, where is it? Right here. So this would be like a comparative analysis, which it's more extended in comparison to this previous bounce. But that's how I would have compared it. I mean, it's so comparable because you can see we had that bounce and we had that surge that was also extended. It was extended period of time, and then we had like a flat line here of consolidation that was actually shorter than expected, but we did have that flat line consolidation. If we look over here, we had that surge to basically an all-time high, which that was the previous all-time high, and then we flatlined right here, and we had an exuberant push to the upside, which is exactly what we saw as of recently. We saw that exuberant push to the upside with long candle wicks, which would compare to exactly where we're at right now. You guys can see we had some we flatlined, and then we had some crazy exuberance, long candle wicks, and now we are basically forming a flag. So that is like a really good comparative analysis, and I've been sticking with that for forever in the day. You guys know how long I've been following this past price action a while back. So so basically, it's a little bit different right now with, look how long that wick is. That's just a terribly, I mean, what's the percentage of that wick? Terrible. That's like a 35% wick, the short candle body. So we basically, at this point, formed what looks to be a really crappy flag. I don't even know if I would call that a flag, but it is because we have support that didn't get broken through on the 4-hour. And then we started moving aggressively back to the upside. Like I said, remember I told you guys in that public live stream that I made private and then public again, which it is public right now. I don't even know if I'm gonna keep it public, but I told you guys that because we had that long wick, and this is just based off comparative analysis, but also the fact that we're forming a flag right now. I think that we should absolutely see a closing candle body at 200, maybe even actually a little bit above 200. We had that long wick, so it's really a good comparative analysis. It's been holding true to itself. I've been following it forever. You guys know I've been following it forever. So like I said, we're gonna have a little bit of a flag formation. It's probably gonna be a crappy flag, just like we talked about, but this flag is actually more pretty than the flag that it was formed from the comparative analysis. It's actually holding up as a true flag. So that's what I think is gonna happen. We did have a little bit of a sell-off, so I would actually be comparing it to that point where we had that wick to here. So it is actually different since we had that sell-off here, but we're actually moving up, forming that bull flag, and then like I said, I think we're going to break out. But my firm sell-off is at 200. I will be exiting the trade at 200. I did not get my sells hit off of this candle body because it didn't actually even hit 200. It hit a high of 199. What are the chances? You know, what the heck? But I did have my sell set when we were at this point of exuberance. I think at this point I actually put my coins on the exchange and I had my sell at 200. It didn't get hit. You know, bummer. But as of right now, I do believe that we will still see a finishing candle body at 200. So I'm still going to stick with that trade. And of course, if it changes down the road, I will, you know, change my analysis. But you know, I'm going in with a plan, and the fresh fiat that I did throw at Litecoin at these higher levels under $100, I'm going to be exiting the trade at $200 from those new positions, simply because, you know, as a trader, you go in with the plan, you stick with the plan, you exit off of that plan. So like I said, I think that we're going to see a continuous pump, which I don't know if it's not going to look exactly like this. This is just a comparative analysis. It's not going to be perfect. But like I said, I think that even if you look at the 20-day moving average, we're still above the 20-day moving average, I believe, on the 4-hour over here. I think well above it. Yeah, we are. We're still well above it. So just simply looking at that as well, and also the RSI. We talked about the RSI in that public live stream. I think that we'll be hitting 200 with a closing, you know, finishing candle body. We might actually extend past 200, but I think that would be the closing position. But it really depends because, you know, Bitcoin was at, if we look over here, when Bitcoin was $5,000, Litecoin was $100. It topped out at $100. So if you look right here, this is when Litecoin topped out, when Bitcoin topped out at 5K. So, you know, just, you know, historically speaking, since Bitcoin is at 15K, Litecoin should be at $300. There's really no reason why it isn't. So that's why we have to keep, you know, our eyes open and the doors open to the fact that we could actually surpass past $200, especially since we have a flag formation at 150, and we could easily move to a higher note of 200. But I will be liquidating those positions that I just talked about at 200. And then we'll see where that leads up to. So if I'm around the computer, you know, watching the charts when we're at 200, maybe my analysis will change and I'll change my closing position, which could be past $200. But as of right now, I'm sticking with that, regardless of the historical, you know, charts with a historical charts with Litecoin being at $100 when Bitcoin was 5,000. But like I said, and also we got to take into consideration Litecoin futures is coming soon. They already announced that, which is, you know, really big. It's same thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin futures, you know, before Bitcoin started trading futures or starts trading futures, we saw just a crazy surge with Bitcoin. People getting in before the trading starts. So once, you know, Litecoin has no other reason why it shouldn't follow in Bitcoin's footsteps, you know, tripling in price. So that's my analysis with Litecoin. And also the RSI is staying true to itself. We flatlined here, we became exuberant, and that's where we're at right now. With the RSI, it actually on the 4-hour, the RSI doesn't look exact. So that's why comparative analysis only goes so far. But we already saw a pullback on the RSI when we became, you know, pretty overbought. but I think that we will start moving back to the upside. And the on-balance volume, I haven't looked at the on-balance volume. Let me check this out real quick. Okay, so the on-balance volume, we had a clear breakout of the on-balance volume right here, which would have been a telling sign at around $100 where we had that cup and handle formation. On-balance volume was still steady, and we failed to break out, but nothing was telling me that, nothing should have told anyone that we weren't going to break out. Now, we did break out heavily with the on-balance volume, leading us up to $200. We already had just an extended push to the upside. We're already at an all-time high with the on-balance volume, which is a little concerning to say the least, but at the same time, I think that we're going to streamline right here. I think the on-balance volume is going to stay steady, and then we'll see another push to the upside. So, but I don't think that we're going to see any heavy pullbacks. Follow that red support, red trend line that I was talking about with the pennant formation. But yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. And if we're gonna time it back to this point right here, where we had that exuberance with the on-balance volume, you can't really compare it either. So that is my Litecoin analysis. We're gonna jump over to Bitcoin. Hope you guys had. I'm gonna check out the chat box as well to see if we have any answers. So what are you guys asking? What are you guys asking? Let me know. Let me know. What's up, Fabian? Did someone say the live stream ended? It shouldn't have ended. If you guys have questions, or let me know in the chat box while I'm looking at the chat box. Let me know before I get over to Bitcoin, and then I'm gonna go over Vertcoin, and then I'm out of here. I want to try to, respect your guys' time, make it to the point. So okay. So someone just said he's interested in Bitcoin. Want to check out Waves? I know Jeffrey went over Waves. I didn't really see what he said about Waves, and I think I saw a little bit of hype about it on crypto Twitter, which I don't. I barely look at my news feed on Twitter, so I think I saw like one post about someone talking about Waves, but I'll look at Waves briefly. I haven't even looked at the charts for it. XLM, I'll look at XLM. And also, yeah, I think I discussed with you guys how we broke out of the logarithmic scale with price action on the candles. We're still above that on the daily. So if we go to the daily, this is actually as well, this is also good. So if we look right here, this green line here confirms to me that we are still staying above this log. Basically look at it as a log, like a tree, like a log. This line here, since we are still above, I mean, you can even see this red candle body where it fell down to here, it got eaten right back up. So like I said, let's go back to the 4 hour and look at this point here at $140. So let's go to not the 4 hour, let's go to the 1 hour. And like I said, I think I told you guys, if we have a finishing candle body below this point here on the hourly, it would be a sell. But I'm kind of gonna stick with the 4 hour. Jack Mullers and 960 other tweets. Yeah, so I'm really gonna be following the 4 hour. So if we fall below this, I think that we could actually move down here, but if we do fall, I think we're gonna fall to like $140, and then the finishing candle body will still be in this pennant. So if we go to the daily here, that would make perfect sense for us to actually fall back down to 140, which I already got back in, but I mean, maybe I'll put some fiat that I have from my other sell-off at 155. I haven't fully gotten back in. Well, basically I have fully gotten back in, but I don't know if I'm not making any sense, but I do have some fiat that I sold off at like 155 that I'm waiting to see if we might actually move up, because I always like to have dry powder on the sidelines regardless. So if we look at the daily here on this log, actually see a sell-off down to like 140. That would be a perfect level to see a sell-off moving back up, not breaking through this log. And I'm going to show you with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin broke out of that log too, and it still has yet to fall back into that log, which is really, really bullish. So, just looking at the charts, we're still bullish. A lot of volatility. It is probably pretty stressful. I think that things are looking surefire sign that we are not looking good. Then we're still bullish. So I think that, like I said, we could see a sell off to 140, but I don't think we're going to fall below this log right now. My mining hash rate for Vertcoin is around, I believe it's around 325 mega hashes per second, 325 to 350. I don't have my Vertcoin mining rig overclocked, because every time I overclock it, I'm having issues. So I have to do some more research and figure out why it keeps, because I keep getting issues with the command prompt. Could I explain my concern about IOTA? I'll explain it. The whole Tangle thing. I mean, you guys know that I guess you could say, like, I'm friends. I'm friends with a lot of developers of a few coins, namely like Litecoin and Vertcoin. Also Decred as well. I'm like friends with those developers, so I talk to them on a regular, regularly. So I mean, what I originally talked about IOTA, and I said that, I was told about how IOTA is just a script converted coin. Tangle is nothing special, and I don't know. I'm speculative, but not optimistic on IOTA. I think that it's a little risky, and I think that they're using a lot of good marketing tactics that brings a lot of money. And I guess you could pay for a Microsoft partnership, which is what IOTA did. So I think that it's really just promises. And you guys know, as an investor, because I am an investor, but also a trader, my long-term holds, those are investments that I plan on holding for a long period of time. And I don't plan on selling them simply because of my belief in them and the technology that's clearly there. IOTA, the technology is not clearly there. There's not really a lot of transparency, and it's a little worrisome to me. So maybe you could trade it. I think it's an awesome coin to trade, but long-term, I'm not in IOTA, because it could be broken promises in the future, and I don't want to deal with, what happened with NEO. NEO sold off like crazy because of the China ban, but it's not a long-term investment for me. You can trade the volatility, absolutely, but until I see some concrete evidence of their platform and technology, I'm not in on that. So this is a terrible fib retracement there. So with Bitcoin, let me go to the 4-hour. The Bitcoin looks fantastic. It looks freaking great. So everyone should. This is a textbook breakout with Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, this is also what I think. I think that Bitcoin, if Bitcoin does actually do well, when we see these future tradings happen tomorrow, I think it starts. If we actually see let's just talk about the charts. So Bitcoin obviously broke out here, and we're still moving to the upside. So I think that Bitcoin, since it's already trading futures and Litecoin isn't, I think that since we had this Litecoin pump, I think Bitcoin is going to go on another bullish run, and Litecoin LTC BTC pair is going to lag behind again. So that's what, because remember before how we were like freaking out because the LTC BTC pair was lagging behind, and Litecoin USD was just kind of stable, which was where that flat line cup and handle consolidation that we saw happen, and Bitcoin just went crazy exuberant. I think that same thing's going to happen again. So if you're trading LTC BTC, it might actually be safer to be in Bitcoin rather than Litecoin, because we can clearly see that there's a breakout here. Litecoin has not really broken out yet. Period, exclamation point, it has not broken out, but Bitcoin clearly has broken out of this downtrend. We saw a downtrend channel here. People thought it was going to bounce at $11,000, which would be a perfect fib retracement. I think it's off of the 0.618 fib level that we would be seeing that bounce, or the 0.5. But I don't know if we're actually going to be going down to $11,000 anymore, simply because we broke out. So because we broke out, I think we should be continuously moving to the upside. Of course, we're going to see some crazy volatility. Look at these long wicks. I mean, there's just long wicks everywhere, more so than we've ever seen before. Even back here, we see long wicks, but prior to this bull run that we're seeing right now, we haven't seen a lot of long wicks. So yeah, so we already broke out. Things look good unless we fall below this trend line that was just created off of this bullish divergence, which we can identify like that. So if we break below this trend line here, which is outlined in red, I'm going to make this one black. If we break below this red trend line, then we could probably see a pretty heavy sell-off down to the $11,000 level, which I guess this would act as almost like an ABC correction. So if we pull out the ABC correction wave here, then we would see a breakdown to around $11,000. So follow this trend line precisely, this red trend line, hoping that we continue to move to the upside. I would be watching this. I don't know if it would be, yeah, so you could watch this on the 4 hour. It would probably be better to watch it on the 4 hour. Create it on the 1 hour and watch it on the 4 hour. But yeah, so I think that watching this trend line here that's outlined in red, green, I would be waiting for us to break below that to see that actual sell-off at around $11,000. Now, we have a lot of support here at $11,000. Same thing with Litecoin at around $100. You can see that we had that consolidation period, basically 2 levels of resistance. And I think that this would be a perfect level to see a bounce. But as of right now, we're not at that level. We're not really selling off. So I think that would be behind us until we actually fall through the support. So yeah, that's my analysis with Bitcoin. Things are looking good. And the perfect point, I mean, I excuse my absence. I don't know if someone else had put, I don't know if Jeffrey posted a chart of the breakout, but since we broke out here, this should be an obvious buy. And I hope that everyone that's in Crypto Campus is using TradingView as well, following what I'm doing so that you guys can map this out, because this is just textbook. I mean, we had this downtrend here, we broke out, and we basically almost, I mean, it wasn't even a bounce off of this downtrend. We formed a new trend line here. So that's a textbook breakout. We're still moving to the upside, and I'm hoping that we don't break through this trend line, because if we do, then we will have to come back to the charts to see what could be in stores next. But yeah, Bitcoin looks good. Bitcoin actually looks better than Litecoin, in my opinion, when it comes to the LTC-BTC pair. But we're going to actually go to the LTC-BTC pair right now. I haven't looked at it for a little while, so bear with me when I look at it so I can analyze it. But Bitcoin looks good. I'm leaving it at that. And also, I know I posted on Twitter, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm looking at. Because I posted on Twitter, I said I think 14.5K is the bottom, which clearly it wasn't the bottom. It fell below that, but it fell a little bit below. What is this fib here? It fell below that, and it fell down back to like around 13.5. But I'm going to show you guys why I was calling that bottom at 14.5. It's because the RSI here, how I was comparing it to over here. Remember, I was comparing it to this previous wave, which I've been following precisely. When we saw that sell-off with Bitcoin, and during this wave a while back, earlier this year, we moved right back to the upside, which was even more exuberant, which I think is actually in stores right now. I think that's going to happen. So we had this exuberance. We became basically pretty congruent with this 94 point on the RSI here, and we fell down, and we're basically bouncing off of like almost the 71 point, maybe a little bit higher. So there's going to be some volatility. We could see a little bit of a further sell-off, but I don't expect us, like I said, to fall below that trend line that we just talked about. Hopefully not. I hope that doesn't happen. But and I mean, it's so obvious. It's just a perfect comparative analysis, because if you look over here at what the heck is this price and date range? So you guys can look. We have a long wicks on the lower side of these candlesticks, which is bullish. A lot of long wicks on the lower side, which is just this just screams bullish to me. Although there's FUD, you just can't follow the FUD. But if you look over here, let's get over to this point here. And I started to doubt myself too, and I'm gonna explain to you guys why I doubted myself because I'm gonna explain the RSI again. But if you look over here, we basically formed a flag and then we moved to the upside. So it's very comparative to where we're at right now. So I'm going to show you guys why I started to doubt my analysis. I started to get a little bit of unrest with my analysis because with this point here where we hit this top high and we are expecting that bounce that I've been talking about, and then another bounce leading us, what would have led us to that $3,000 Bitcoin. I'm actually thinking, I mean, if we follow this precisely, we should see a $30,000 Bitcoin before we see an actual sell-off that would be pretty extensive. But back to what I was saying with the RSI. So if you look at here, and this is just a comparative analysis, this is not identical, but it seems over time, you know, me doing my comparative analysis, it seems to work out pretty perfectly. But if we look here, so let me see. So yeah, I'm trying to think of what I'm doing here. So I would be comparing this point here to this point here, okay? And then I would be I'm gonna change the color here, and I would be comparing this, well, I was starting to compare this once I started to doubt myself, which it's not fun doubting yourself. Let me change the color of this one real quick. And this is simply comparative analysis. This is not perfectly accurate. I know I keep saying that, but you definitely keep that in mind. So we had these three levels where the RSI became overbought. Now I was thinking, you know, maybe when we saw this crazy exuberance from when we sold off here, maybe that was a little bit of a fake out for what would be identifying this right here, right there. So I was thinking, is that really going to identify from this wave here, fifth wave? But I think we've already passed the time period of it being a fifth wave. So I think that it's not even the case anymore. But you look right here and you look right here, it would make sense that that would be that. But I'm actually not even thinking of that anymore. That's when I was doubting myself. I was thinking, you know, maybe these three right here add up to this third the finishing wave off of this whole wave with Bitcoin, but I'm not even thinking that anymore. So I take that back. I think that we are still only on the first wave here, and we are going to be entering into that second wave and then that third wave on the RSI. So you can't be doubtful, but you know, sometimes it makes sense to be doubtful. So to confirm anything. So that is what I'm thinking with Bitcoin. I'm still very bullish, and I think we should be moving to the upside since we are pretty much considerably bouncing off of this 72 point on the RSI. So hopefully maybe we'll see, once future starts trading, we'll see maybe a $25,000 Bitcoin or maybe a $20,000 Bitcoin, and then probably another fast and volatile pullback. And then we'll move hopefully towards like a $30,000, if not more. And if we look at the on-balance volume, let's go look at the on-balance volume. We haven't looked at that in a while. I haven't actually looked at it myself since we were actually looking at that. What's going on here? Let's see. No, I want to go. Yeah, we're on the daily chart. My on-balance volume isn't working, so let me reload the page. Actually, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to close out of this RSI. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. I don't know why my on-balance volume isn't working now. There it is. All right, perfect. let me show you guys. I haven't looked at the on-balance volume, like I said, so bear with me as I look at this because this is going to be exciting. All right, so right here we broke out on the on-balance volume, and I'm comparing this precisely with 2013. I mean, we're seeing literally 2013 happen before our eyes, and I think that we're still going to see that super crazy exuberance that can lead us to like $100,000 Bitcoin in a short period of time. I mean, you guys can see what happened. I've been following outbound volume before we even saw that crazy push. We were around like $10,000, I think it was, and then we saw just a crazy push. And I think it's going to continue because the hype is still there. But so if we were going to compare this with 2013, and we open up this on balance volume there. So if we look at this, we streamlined the on balance volume, basically consolidated for a little while, and then it just broke out extensively. So what point do I think that we're at right now in the on balance volume in comparison to 2013, which is a perfect comparison? Perfect. Every trader looks at the history, follows patterns. So that's what I'm basically going over right now. So basically where I would be comparing us, oh my gosh, is I would be looking at this right here, this right here. You know, we broke out on the on balance volume and we're kind of pulling back a little bit, but then we are going to see another crazy exuberant push to the upside. So I think that, like I said, I'm still very bullish. And I mean, look at this. You know, everyone thinks that there's going to be shorting coming in, and Wall Street can just, not even Wall Street, but fiat is just endless currency. You can print it out of thin air, and they can control it and manipulate it, which I think they can do, obviously. But I think that I'm actually more bullish. This is really bullish. So comparing it to 2013 when we broke out of that on balance volume, and we just had that crazy push to the upside, I'm still anticipating that. So I think that we're in this period right now. It seems so crazy and how comparable it is to where we're at. This is like the flag formation that we're seeing with Bitcoin right now, and it's just going to push right back to the upside, and people are just going to wake up to just Bitcoin mooning like crazy. So everyone thinks it's going to get ugly, and I kind of beg to differ. So like I said, I think that the on-balance volume is still, I mean, we're going to see it move up to the high, like a super high point, and I think things look good. In my opinion, that's just what I feel. I mean, look at this. How perfect, look how perfect this lines. I mean, it doesn't get more. We have what looks to be a flag forming right now on the 4 hour. That's the daily. And if we look at 2013, just look at the difference. It's textbook. It's very obvious. I would be going long. But yeah, so that's exactly where we're at. I mean, look at that. It's just so, oh, come on, what happened? It's just so obvious. So I'm very bullish on Bitcoin. I think Litecoin is possibly more likely going to be lagging behind Bitcoin, especially since the big money's coming in for Bitcoin and not necessarily Litecoin. But keep in mind, Litecoin is going to be trading futures eventually. They already announced that. So very comparable, and very bullish. So just compare it to 2013, compare the on-balance volume, and you could even draw a trend line from 2013, which would be another log, because Bitcoin broke out of the log here. So where would we identify this log? I don't know why this keeps popping up here. So remember when Bitcoin broke out of that log? And it just became super bullish. Same thing with Litecoin. Litecoin broke out of that log, and then it bounced off of that log, which is what Litecoin's doing right now. So Litecoin would be, I mean, it's hard to compare Litecoin and Bitcoin because simply Bitcoin is the focus. It's the hype because of futures trading. But this is where Litecoin, I would identify Litecoin to being right here. We had that push to the upside, breaking us out of that log, and then we bounced off of the bottom, the bottom here, where that log would have been. So it would have been support, and then we just moved excessively to the upside. So if we look at Litecoin, look at the log. I mean, it's textbook, guys. Look at the daily. We pushed to the downside, and then we just moved aggressively to the upside. So Litecoin could actually move aggressively to the upside, regardless of Bitcoin. But I have a side of me that thinks that Bitcoin is going to move aggressively leaving Litecoin Bitcoin pair behind, or Litecoin is going to just do its own thing. Looking at the charts itself, I think it could do its own thing. So it's still above that log that we can identify from a while back. Same with Bitcoin. It's just so textbook. I mean, look at this point where we're not really touching the log. Okay, and now let's go back to Bitcoin. Look at this. We're not touching the log here. Okay, so we had a tests of the log, and then we broke out, test the top right here, support from the log, and then we just moved excessively to the upside. So Litecoin is actually catching up with Bitcoin. That's why we saw it just boom up so fast, which isn't really a surprise because of Bitcoin booming up so fast. So you know, I'm bullish on Litecoin, I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I think it's good to diversify, but that's really where Litecoin is right now, bouncing off of that log, and then Litecoin is just going to take another aggressive move to the upside, simply looking at Bitcoin, because Litecoin has been lagging behind Bitcoin, and since that's the fact, which we all know Litecoin has been lagging, and it's bouncing off of the log right now. I mean, look at this. I mean, it should be moving aggressively to the upside. Hopefully, could lead us above $200. So I told you guys I'm going to be sticking to my plan, but things can change rapidly. So selling too early isn't terrible. But those are some really good comparative analysis. So take note of that if you have to rewatch the live stream, although it seems like I'm probably talking in circles. But those are really good comparative analysis off of what's going on. Also, we went over the RSI, we went over the on-balance volume, on how Bitcoin is going to continue to move up aggressively. But let's look at LTC BTC, because LTC BTC really doesn't even look that bad. I haven't looked at it in a while, but we have a double bounce on the RSI here, which I think we talked about in the public live stream that some people got upset because I didn't do a private live stream, which is what we're doing right now. I think that we have moved into a new cycle with LTC BTC pair. So yeah, so the LTC BTC pair doesn't look bad at all. Oh my gosh! So I would be comparing. Holy crap! This is so crazy. So this is crazy. So remember I drew out this trend line that I literally, like, if we take, I'm gonna delete this black line right here. If I take this trend line and I clone it, so I'm gonna clone it real quick. I'm gonna show you guys. This is why it's getting difficult. It's not really getting difficult, but it's getting harder to identify, you know, comparative analysis, because history repeats itself, but it's always going to be different. So it's second for second on this trend line here, and we fell through it so hard, and I was like, what the hell? Why did it fall through? I got like pissed off because I was like, what the heck? And it's simply because Litecoin is lagging behind Bitcoin. And I hope that, like I said, Litecoin could lag behind Bitcoin again, especially since futures is coming. So, but at the same time, I'm also thinking that Litecoin could start growing at that double percentage rate that Bitcoin has been, that Litecoin did previously. Because if we look in the past, Litecoin, usually the USD pair, grows double the percentage of Bitcoin whenever Bitcoin does go bull. So we could see that happen now, or we could just see Litecoin lag behind again. But the LTC USD and LTC BTC tell me that Litecoin shouldn't be lagging. It should probably be catching up. So, oh my gosh, this is going to be perfect right here. So we fell through this trend line, and right here we didn't fall through that trend line, which makes any trader think, what the heck? You know, now where do I compare my analysis to? But now if we look at this, let's just scratch this out. Let's just act like that never happened, because we can. And if we look at the history charts again, where we had this just crazy, I'm gonna try to clean this up a little bit so that it doesn't look too crazy. I'm gonna delete that, delete this, and I'm gonna delete this. So if we just erase that, okay, like it never happened, because let's just say it never happened. And then we look here, look at this exuberant candlestick. And then you look here, it's like, let's say this never happened, like I said, we have this exuberant candlestick. Actually, two candlesticks, which is never going to be completely accurate. But that's what I would be comparing it to now. And now you can see after that exuberant candlestick, we had a little bit of a consolidating period right here. You can see we kind of just fell down a little bit, but not that much. It's holding up. It's keeping true. And then it moved up again, hardcore to the upside. So this is exactly what I'm looking at. I mean, it makes complete sense. So maybe Litecoin will just continue to catch up with Bitcoin, but this is looking fantastic. I mean, look how it's holding up above this trend line even. And if you look right here also, remember we just drew out this trend line that was literally a copy and paste, and you could see it did not fall below that trend line. You can see this candle wick. Look how long that candle wick is. It did not fall below that trend line, which is fantastic. So yeah, I'm actually thinking for Litecoin, although it's kind of wishy-washy because Bitcoin futures, a lot of money is going into Bitcoin rather than Litecoin. But I mean, who knows? Who knows? But I think that at this point in time right now, I think Litecoin should be, LTC BTC should be moving up aggressively again. And also LTC USD should be moving up aggressively again. So especially since we bounced off of that log, I mean, these are perfect analysis. So LTC BTC looks great. It looks great. Remember the trend line that I drew out? Follow that trend line because things can change really rapidly. But I'm bullish, and I'm leaving it at that. It's not going to change because simply it's just there's no reason to be bearish. I don't care how much FUD or whatever. People would love to FUD around. I mean, there's one dude. I mean, I can't even think of his name. There's a guy on Twitter who was a developer, I believe, of Bitcoin, and he was just, it's crazy. I'm going to show you guys because I think I'm following him. I'm going to show you guys who I'm talking about because there's always going to be people that are going to be FUDding around, spreading FUD. And I'm going to show you guys this guy. I don't respect him. I don't even know if I'm following him anymore. I think I unfollowed him because he doesn't add any value to the community anymore. It's kind of like Roger Ver. Roger Ver was very, honorable, and now he's not. So this guy that I'm going to show you is also not necessarily not really honorable anymore. I don't think I'm following him. I wish I could show you guys. I am following Roger Ver though, but this guy, there's a guy that he was like spreading FUD, and it's kind of stupid. People, crypto Twitter, most of crypto is on Twitter. Like, same with the stock market. A lot of stock market talk is on Twitter. So it's like, if you're not on Twitter, you're really not updated. You don't know what's going on with crypto. But I can't think of the guy's name, but he was like spreading FUD. It was stupid, and it's kind of just it's upsetting that we have people like that in the community. So I'm bullish on Litecoin. I'm bullish on Bitcoin. If I can come across this dude that I'm talking about on Twitter, who used to be or still is a developer, he promotes Bitcoin Cash too, or I think he was promoting SegWit 2x. All right, so we're gonna get over to LTC BTC, LTC USD looks good. Vertcoin, I know people wanted me to look at Vertcoin. What the heck is going on with Vertcoin? All right, so Vertcoin looks good. The charts for Vertcoin for a while, but look at this. So we bounced off of this point here, which in my opinion starts a new cycle. So by just the Elliott wave theory alone, the third wave cannot break below the previous wave, which this would be a really crappy Elliott wave theory. But yeah, so we haven't broken below this previous wave with Vertcoin Bitcoin pair, which tells me that we're still bullish. We're still in this cycle. We bounced off at this point here, which I actually, if you look at previous live streams, I've had this red support line here for a while, which I never traded my Vertcoin. I haven't traded it in a while. It's all in cold storage, but I'm still very bullish on Vertcoin. For the short term and long term, we bounced off of this point, and now we're actually bouncing off of what would be the top of this price channel that we followed way back when Vertcoin was less than $5, we were following this price channel for the VTC, BTC, and VTC USD. So we're actually bouncing right now off of this point, off the top of this previous price channel from the previous run. We fell through and broke to the upside. So that's actually really good. So we're actually re-identifying a new trend line, which I'm going to delete all of this previous crap, all this previous analysis, so that we can start focusing on this next wave. So once I have that finished, I will, when I do my next private live stream, I'll get you guys updated, because I'm going to be drawing price channels and whatnot with Vertcoin. Because I haven't really analyzed this new wave factor with Vertcoin. I've really been just basing it off of this, which is a good thing, but I need to start following this wave here. So I'll do that in the next private live stream. But yeah, so we have broken into a new trend line, which is perfect. And also we have our dissension here, which I think that we could actually, since we have 3 tests that we're not even falling down, we haven't even fallen down actually forming a true pennant. We're forming more so a flag. We could actually break out right now to the upside, especially since we just bounced off of, I'm gonna delete that, especially since we just bounced at the top of that price channel, we could actually break out fairly soon, like really soon. So that looks good. And I haven't done any new positions because I really just, I've been hodling. I haven't really been trading that much, to be honest, except for my Litecoin. I did swing it a few times. There's been great volatility with Litecoin. But yeah, Vertcoin, it does look really good. And I'm going to look at VTC USD as well. But yeah, so we should actually be breaking out of this resistance right here, because you can see we have, this is a perfect flag, guys. This is a textbook flag formation, not even a pennant, because we're not bouncing, we have not bounced below this top price channel. So my bet is that we're going to break out of this resistance of the flag and move to the upside, leading us to, hopefully, you know, I'm expecting us to move to, see, we kind of tested the all-time high, and I kind of got caught off guard with Vertcoin because it hit this top point here, but I was expecting it to go to these higher levels around like almost 100,000 Satoshis, like the highest at 95,000 Satoshis, but it didn't. Finishing candle body on the 4-hour at 82,000 Satoshis. So I was actually caught off guard there. I was a little bummed out that I missed that trade, because I did want to involve myself in that trade, because I knew that we were going to double top here with the VTC BTC. I knew we were going to double top, but it was a really crappy double top. It was like a, you know, I think everyone, whenever, this is how trading works, whenever someone anticipates something, it never happens. When everyone expects something, and especially since the community is very outspoken about it, it usually doesn't happen. So even with this, you know, I was expecting it to double top, a firm double top with a closing finishing candle body, maybe even a wick above the double top, but that didn't happen, which pisses me off, but whatever. That's the game that we're playing in with early adoption here. So Vertcoin Bitcoin pair is still in a precise uptrend on the on-balance volume. It's looking beautiful. We're currently streamlining here, basically consolidating on the volume, which is also very bullish. So we should see a relative surge. I mean, we have a resistance right here, which is identified with the, we should actually flip it. So this red line would be identified as the resistance, and then this green line would be support. With the on-balance volume. So we still have an increasing amount of volume coming in, and I think that we're going to break out of this volume resistance, which is this red line, fairly soon. So it looks good. And I'm going to show you guys another reason why I thought that Vertcoin was really going to finish off as a firm double top, if not a little higher. So if you look right here where we had this exuberance, which brought us to that finishing wave, it's almost like a fractal compared to where we're at right now. I'll show you the fractal. And then we topped out here, which was basically a firm double top, very firm double top. Now, if you look over here, it actually is above a double top, because if the finishing candle body was above off the previous top. So if you look right here, perfect with Vertcoin. I mean, if you look at this, guys. So if we look at this, it's like, it's really kind of textbook here. So if you look at that, it's really close in proximity there with a comparison. So I was expecting that you could see double top. I guess you could call it a double top, which is basically what we saw here. Now we had that, we had a pullback like this, but this would identify as the pullback right here. So we had this pullback that dropped us. We should take this into consideration. I think Vertcoin looks fantastic, but you can see this is the top of the price channel from the previous wave, and we bounced off of that a little bit, and then we kind of consolidated there, and then we moved aggressively down again. So is that what we're seeing right now? I don't know. I really do think that we're moving into a fresh new wave, especially since we have so much support here at 40,000. There's a lot of support at 40,000. I mean, look at this. This is a major resistance from a while back with Vertcoin. So there's no reason why Vertcoin should fall through that support. Major resistance equals major support, okay, guys? So I don't think that we're going to fall through, but also take into consideration this. Look at this and take it into consideration. So we had a firm sell-off from that double top, okay, which led us to the top of this price channel, which we actually fell on a finishing candle body below that. So that would actually make me believe that we're actually below that point. But you know, we fell down, and then we kind of bounced off of that top price channel. Then we moved aggressively back down again, which was really aggressive, which could happen here with Vertcoin. So I think we should take it into consideration, although we have major support from that previous major resistance, since we are bouncing right here off the top of the price channel. If we do finish a candle body, a 4-hour candle body below this green trend line, which I'm actually going to make black so it's not confusing, I would look at it as a sell off of the historical charts. So I'm not betting on it breaking, but if it does break that trend line off of a finishing 4-hour, then we could see it breaking down to around 33-ish thousand Satoshis, and then we would be moving into a fresh new wave. So take that into consideration. I really advise that everyone use TradingView, because I don't want people to be in the crypto campus as sitting ducks, you know, waiting for me, because I'm not always going to be at the beck and call 24/7, because I do sleep, and I do you know, go to the bathroom and take showers and you know, be human. So I really advise that people use TradingView and really map out what I'm looking at, so that you know what I'm doing. If you know, I'm not available, you know what I'm doing. I'm telling you guys what I'm doing, what I'm looking at. Okay, guys. So that's what I think with Vertcoin. And then someone asked me to look at, I don't know, it was waves. So I'll look at waves real quick. I'm actually, before I look at waves, which is going to be the last coin that I look at, I'm going to check out the chat box. Please let me know in the chat box if you have any questions. Please let me know if you understand. Show your appreciation, just so that I'm, you know, feeling good that I did a good private live stream tonight. Let me know. Let me know. We have like 28 people here right now. Surprising that we don't have like 100 people in the live streams, the private live stream, since we have like 200 people in the group. But it'd be awesome to see if we could have more people tune into these live streams, so that, well, I think people are on different sleep schedules, because this is like a worldwide thing. We have people from all over the world in these live streams. So yeah, I will look at waves. I think I brought a lot of clarity in this private live stream. I think I brought a lot of clarity to the comparative part of these analysis, because it's really, you know, you guys know we've been following these comparisons for a while now, and we actually may put a lot more clarity to it, because of, I think this is the first time we actually went over the logarithmic scale on the price action and the volatility. So that's something that we went over for the first time, which is something to follow. And then we actually compared that to Bitcoin, which is phenomenal. You know, Bitcoin following the log scale, how we're at this point right now when Bitcoin was $10,000, that's where Litecoin is. So I think that we did a lot of good comparative analysis, and I hope I did some good explanation as well. Yeah, keep a close eye on that Vercoin support level because that's how I would be treating it. So, and of course, I'm not a financial advisor. Everyone knows that. So, this is what I'm doing. This is just purely my analysis. So I'm gonna go look at waves real quick, and then I'm out of here. All right. So let's see. Quick. Actually, waves doesn't look bad at all. I don't know the fundamental side, which trade unless I know the fundamental side. Waves has been around for a while, but I don't really know its purpose. I don't know much about it. So given just the analysis itself, we had major resistance back here, and which would add as major support for waves. So we can make that green real quick. I know people are starting to shill it too. So since we have that major support, we actually broke through that support a little bit, which we should also identify down to this level here on a daily. So how I would be looking at this, let me look at the volume real quick. The volume was looking terrible, but it seems like the volume has evened out and it's starting to move to the upside. Let's see. Let's draw a trend line as well. So waves actually looks good. From a technical standpoint, waves looks good. This would be like the current time period we're in right now. This would be my entry position. We have a firm breakout on the daily alone, which is good. That's really good. So what I'm looking at, how I'm gauging this trade is that we had a double bottom. Double bottoms are perfect for upside movement. Whenever you have a double bottom, it acts like a double top. So since we have this double bottom, which wasn't really a failed breakout, and now we're actually starting to break out, and that's a firm breakout, guys. If you look at this dissension here, we can see on the daily closing, we already closed above that trend line. So that actually looks good. And I'm going to leave it at that, just alone. Since we have the double bottom, we already have a closing finishing daily candle body, which would really kind of tell me that we're going to be seeing a breakout, which we're basically already breaking out, I guess. And this is a really low level to be buying in at, which is good since you're buying so low. So there's less risk involved. There's more reward when you're buying low like this. But like I said, the altcoins are a little bit risky right now. Although I think that the altcoins are actually moving into the next bullish wave. I think that with Bitcoin being the only coin that's being traded futures, risk to the altcoins. So like I said, waves has broken out. We can see the double bottom. We already have that closing finishing body, candle body on the daily. And we also have a lot of support at the levels that it did support because of the previous resistance. So I think it's at its depressum stage, and it's basically waiting for a breakout. So I would need to look at the fundamental side of this coin. I don't know anything about it. I have bought waves before, though. I did do some trades with it a while back. I'm talking like back in June, July, but never a long-term hodl. So it does look good. We had a flag formation here, confirmed the breakout. Now we could this dissension here, this downtrend, and then move aggressively to the upside. And now coming out. I don't know. I keep gotta go dinner time. All right, John, you said you're lost completely.